Hi, I'm Cloudy, and today we're gonna talk about a scenarios where I can only keep 5 eyeshadow palettes in my collection. I think this is such a fun idea, and I made a video like this before, like in December 2021. That's the first ever video that I made on this channel, and yeah, just a while later I want to look at my makeup collection again and see how can I narrow it into that 5 only options again, because I can see throughout time my makeup preferences have changed like a lot. The way that I do my makeup has changed as well, and overall my behavior when it comes to buying and using my makeup collections can experience such huge alternatives. So that's what we're gonna do today. Let's just roll into the video. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about my recent makeup burnout, that's what I call it. And it's very a shame to admit that I don't feel that strong connection with makeup anymore. And I don't know if this is just a phase or it's going to be a permanent thing, or it's just this is a very stressful period of time. I'm under a lot of pressure to get a lot of things done and achieved, and I have to feel the contentment in my life first so that I can enjoy my other hobbies. For I think a few months, for like 2 or 3 months, maybe around July, August, September, I didn't wear makeup at all, and that's not a healthy thing to me. I felt very worn down, I mean mentally and physically, because I have dealt with a lot of difficulties with my studying, and I just feel like I'm a failure and I don't deserve anything good at all. So I was just like put myself into a very depressing state. I basically just survived through that time. Like I couldn't find any reasonable meaning to even try anymore. I was just like, I'm a failure, what's the point of everything anymore? So I didn't touch my makeup collection at all, and I don't feel beautiful, because in that way yeah, because I'm a failure already. Like what's the point of being beautiful when, you know, inherently you are a useless person? That kind of thing. And it feels horrible thinking about it that way. That's, I know it's very sensitive, it's very vulnerable to admit, regardless how much I am aware of my privileges in this world, in this place, how I can go to the university and get that degree. I'm very thankful for everything that I have. It's just, in my mind, I don't think that I am anything. I feel like I'm nobody. Yeah, so I did the bare minimum to take care of myself, and I feel really bad for not knowing how to take care of myself better, since I'm living alone now, and so majorly throughout my life I don't have a lot of like intimate and sensible and that kind of emotional support. When you have existential crisis, you kind of feel shaky with your career or study, any sort of big decisions in your life. I don't have that kind of emotional support any at all, and I just feel lost. And is kind of like getting everything back on track again. Yeah, sorting some of the things out, I started to do my makeup again. That's a weird statement in itself. And I realized the way that I want to do my makeup right now is different from the way that I did. I used to do a lot of colorful and interesting creative makeup looks. You know, like I'm not the most creative person in the world, and my makeup look is just like okay to begin with, but like back then everything was much more colorful, and I think there was a lot of effort to put in those looks compared to now when I do my makeup to reconcile my relationship with that kind of hobbies. And I feel a bit guilty for saying that and for doing things like that. Like, I mean, I just feel bad for makeup. Like, that's a whole thing to me, that's a whole world to me, that where I can discover myself, that when I started to believe that I have some sensuality, I have some features that can enhance, there's some colorful thing I can put on my face, there's like texture and formulas that I can play with. So it's not an easy process to get back into that mentality again. Like, I had been cut off with makeup for such a long time, and now it's not like you can switch it on again. Basically, that's what I meant. And I realized I do more like simple, neutral. Today I put on a very like neutral look. Everything is just like easy to process, easy to go through. It doesn't take up a lot of time in the morning for me, so I can do it more consistent. Yeah, and so that's why it popped up in my head that the idea of this video, if I can only keep 5 palettes, it's not a new idea. It has been around for a while, but I think it's just so cool to think about it that way, that okay, I'm in a phase where I have a lot more than I can use, and I feel guilty about that, and I feel like I just don't deserve everything. So what are the top 5 that I truly love, and I think I can lean on them as an emotional support, that at least I can do good things in the world. I know I'm making it deep. It's actually that deep when I think about my makeup, and just a way to me to build that bridge between my exterior and interior, my mind and my appearance, because there's such a strong connection between how you look and how you feel about yourself. And I'm not a person who's gonna like go out and believe in myself every day, who have that confidence to just say that I'm beautiful no matter what. That's not who I am. But if in a way I can touch a little bit with my soul, with the woman inside of me, with my own femininity, that even when you do a little bit of makeup, you just do a simple look, like put like a little bit of cream blush on, for example, you can actually connect with the woman inside of you, and you are a woman and you should feel the way that she should feel. Long story short, let's get into the first palette. I just kind of want to get this out of the way because I will never get rid of my Aether Beauty Amethyst Crystal Gemstone palette. This palette is old. I think it's a few years old already. I got it on my birthday, on my 21st birthday. I've just had my 24th birthday like 2 weeks ago, so this palette is old, but I will never get rid of it because up to this moment it still performs so well. And this is my original color story. Original in a way. This is a me color story, and I just adore the formula so much. The mattes are perfect. They are a bit stiff, not the kind that could blend away like immediately, but it's really beautiful. You can't just sit there and blend for a while and it looks flawless. I love the shimmers in the middle. It's just perfect. It's not too vibrant. It has some mutedness in it, like some desaturations in it, so it would suit almost any occasions. And every time I touch this palette again, I immediately fall in love with it. And that's a mythical journey. Like, I don't know how it happened. I adore it to its core, but I just feel like I fall in love with it every single day and every single time I use it. So like, I actually prefer cool tone, pink, purple, mauve shades right now. So it's just a fade when I want to do a bit of like neutral but soft pink, soft purple. And this palette is just like right up the alley for that kind of look that I want to do right now. So maybe I can use it a little bit more, and I don't feel ashamed to use a palette that at least 3 years old. Natasha Denona Love palette is my second choice. This is such a cool palette. This is my dream palette. It will release on Valentine's Day 2022 and I got it last year. Yeah, they are still selling it on Sephora, Australia, so if you want to get it in Australia you can still get it. This is more of a extroverted version of that Aether Beauty palette to me. It still had this like pinks and purples, a bit of cool tone touch over it, but this section right here is really bright, and you have reds, and reds are not my favorite options, not my favorite color scheme where I can truly explore my creativity with makeup, but every once in a while I can add a red eyeliner, which I really love. But overall it's just kind of my color story amplified to the next level. So this is still my comfort level. The formulations, we don't have to agree or disagree anymore. You know it's good when it's good because it's the brand. I don't think this formulation is outdated at all. To me, it's still fun, it's still good, and I can still use it. I think I could wear this palette on a day-to-day basis. So that's a good point. If you look at the palette, you look at everything as a whole, you look at individual sections of the palette, and you feel like you can fit that palette in every single day of your life. And because like occasions, special occasion happens, and you can fit at least one look in those occasions with that palette, I think you should keep it in your collection when you have to narrow down everything that you can choose. I just love this one. This the most expensive palette in my collection. I have to admit that probably one of the reasons why I keep it, but it's the emotional part in me that I want to keep my dream palette. This is a very hot day in Perth and I'm sweating. Oh, this is so hot. This is so sunny. But somehow I don't feel like my room has enough light coming through it. Anyway, this is not a very obvious choice. Because like if you remember last time I picked a ColourPop palette, it's in the Trans palette. That palette is a pastel palette. It's a purple, blue, and pink pastel palette with an iridescent. That's so cool. But I don't see myself wearing pastel anymore. So this is the thing that I actually wear. This palette is ridiculous. I still don't know why I love it so much. Let me explain to you why. This palette I only use 4 shades. 4. Only 4 shades in this palette are useful to me. So they are right here. So the pink one, so the like mauve but taupey shade, the kind of like darker brown but like still grayish cool tone, and this shade right here is like a lighter brown but with cool undertone. So overall these 4 shades kind of exactly the same, but the formula is impeccable, incredible. I don't know why every time I blend 1 or more or all 4 shades on my crease and I just do a matte look, it's so gorgeous. My heart skipped a bit every time. It's so good. It's so gorgeous. I don't know why. It's so soft. It means you have to build it up a little bit. It's like you have to keep building and building and building. You have to dip back into it like 3 times to get the pigmentations and the intensity that you want. But it's so soft because the formula is so thin, because you have to blend multiple layers on top of each other, so it gives this kind of like velvet silky look. I'm not sure if that's a right way to describe it. So like if you look at the silk texture, you see this like a shine into it, but like in a way it looked very soft and flowy, but actually the thickness of the fabric is quite substantial. So that's what I mean when you have to layer multiple times, but it still works. And it has two cool toppers, this one and this one right here. I don't care about them. One is very glittery and one doesn't have a lot going on in it. This one is too deep to use anything. Sometimes I use it as an eyeliner, maybe a brown powder. And if you look at this part right in here, it uses to me. Like I barely use them at all. Yesterday I did a look. I used this one right here as my inner corner brightening shade. It's not bright enough, and I don't think it's very functional to use it as a substitute for a light shimmer inner corner like what I'm wearing right now. So I don't know, but I love it. I just love the 4 shades too much. I have to keep it. This is what I'm gonna use every single day if I want to, and call me boring. Like I usually, it's so funny, it's a whole cycle of life. I used to call like cool tone neutral shades tedious because you look at it, you know what to do with it. It's not hard at all. You don't even have to use any brand set to come up with the look. It's so easy, it's so uninteresting, it's so unbearable in that way. But now that's the only thing that I wear, and yeah, I give myself a bullshit credit for that. I know nothing. I think makeup should have been always fun, and that's fundamentally wrong, because makeup has purpose, and that's you to decide what that purpose is. And right now this is my purpose, this is what I want to wear, and yeah, it's a whole revelation. So in the past, if I didn't do any fun makeup, if I didn't do any purple look, I would feel like it's not worth it to do makeup. But right now I have way more reasons, way more meaningful ways to justify the look. And yeah, I feel for the people who can just be out there and do the makeup look that they want. And I respect and I adore you guys so much. So the 4th palette is the Australis Dream to Me palette. I got this palette last year. This palette I got earlier this year. So it means that I have incorporated a lot of new palettes into my top 5. If I could only keep 5 palettes thing. And it says a lot about my decisions. I think I make a lot of good decisions when purchasing palette throughout the last 2 years, and I think I only purchased like less than 10 during that period of time, and it feels like, yeah, I make good decisions in a way, at least at the bare minimum. This is how this palette looks like. I got this at Priceline. It's a drugstore in Australia, and it's so beautiful. I love this one so much. I just want to cry every time I open this palette. I look at all of the beautiful shimmering. It's so glimmery. It's that like flecky texture shade. That's what I'm wearing in my inner corner right now a little bit. And to be honest, every time I wore this palette, someone complimented on my look. It's like, like there was one time my coworker, she asked me, you have to tell me what are you wearing on your eyes, and she was looking at me. She was so intense when she asked that. It was so funny. And the other time, another coworker, she told me that, should you look something different to your face today? Like it just looks special. I just put, I think, this shade in my inner corner, and then I blend like a neutral shade in this palette to the crease. I feel like that's what I did, and it's just special. Like it's it's not the most intricate and well put together look ever. It's not that I can do it every single day. I can pull off that look every time that I want, but just it adds such a nice touch of a whimsical and magical touch to your look. And I think these are comparable to the Pat special shades. Actually comparable because I swatched the Pat McGrath in store and then I went home and I look at my palette and I feel like they have some similarities, not like entirely identical, because that's you cannot, you know, like go for it with this price. This is a drugstore price tag, but this is so beautiful. Look at the mauve, the pink. It has a lot of neutral quality in it, so like sometimes you will want to go for like a neutral. I can do that. If I want to do a bit more warm tone neutral but has a pink rosy undertone, I can still do that with this palette. And I think that's such a nice combination. It's just a nice one in everything to own. So again, a downside of this palette is I don't care too much about two light shades right in here. They are too light for me to use for anything. And I don't care too much about the mattes. They are not bad quality. I don't use them enough to judge their quality, because every time I look into this palette, I open it up, I touch it, I just want to use the flecky foil multi-dimensional duochromic shimmer shades, and they are so worth the price. I think it's like $10, 10 Australian dollars. I'm so sorry. Like I said, this room doesn't have like the best lighting inlet filter quality, so I think the sunlight is like all over the place here, but like bear with me. I'm so thankful that you're still here, or if you can like get here and somehow. Let's talk about my final options. It's hard. I mean, like in a way it's really hard. So like top 5, so the first 4 picks would be like no-brainer, so easy, this and that. Somehow the final one, when you only have like one spot left for the thing that you actually love, and you love a lot of things in your collection, you'll be like, okay, I panic now, like what should I pick, what is the right choice, what would give me the ultimate happiness and contentment to use every day when I look at that palette together with the rest. I just want to make the most and the best out of everything that I could own. So I have some contestants. These two, I still love them so much. I still use them and I think they are gorgeous. They are from the last 5 palettes pie. The Tarte Pro Amazonian Clay palette and the Nomad Cosmetics Berlin Underground. I think both of them are discontinued, but it doesn't matter. This is my makeup collection. I'm gonna use them. And this is the new one. This is the one I purchased last year. Passion in Paris palette from BH Cosmetics. So I think about this palette all the time. The Tarte palette. I still like it. I still enjoy using it because I explained in my last video. Somehow, in a magical, in a formidable way, every time I use the mattes in this palette, I got an infallible look. Everything is just so perfect. It blends like a dream. I don't want to say that, but I think the matte formulation in this palette is a bit better than the one in the Natasha Denona palette. Even like the cream to powder formula or like the pure powder formula, everything here is just a smidge better. It's just a tiny little bit better. And I was amazed, I was shocked, I was appalled every time I used this one, and it just had this most beautiful, maybe it's the Amazonian clay key characteristic of the the ingredients, I don't know. So it's very thick. It's like muddy, maybe that's the way clay should be. It's kind of like muddy. It's very thick, but it's pigmented and blendable. It's a bit powdery. It has a lot of kickback into it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. But overall, I still adore this palette, and I still have a lot of enjoyment using it. But I cannot choose it this time because I can only use, not like I can only, but I just want to use the mattes in this palette. And I already have a whole selection of matte shades from the other palettes because I love purple and pinks and mauve. So I would just like essentially focus on the center part of this palette, like the 6 shades in the middle. And if you recall, I have the deeper shades from the Natasha Denona palette. I have the 2 lighter shades in the Aether Beauty palette, and the lighter shade, they're exactly the one in my lilybyred palette. So I already have what I own in this palette, and I love it. I love everything in this palette, but it's just like I have duplicate of the essentials. And if your eyeshadow palette collection only contains 5 choices every day, why do you want duplicates? So it's a no in this case. It's not like a no forever. It's not like a no, I'm gonna declutter it. But yeah, it's redundant just to see. Yeah, I think this is like a good thought experiment to see how redundant your makeup collection is when you already, eliminate your finalists. What is the runner-up and how it could live up to the one that you already picked. So we only have 2 contestants left in my installment of the top 5 palettes that I cannot live without, that irreplaceable in my collection. And this is the color story of the Nomad Cosmetic palette. This is a grungy green, copper, yellow, almost a grungy version of a rainbow palette. And the Passion in Paris is the blue, purple, and red collection. This one is a bit like lighter. This one is like deeper and even more purple. I couldn't say no to more purple, but this one is more versatile. Which one do you think that I would choose? I'm gonna hold for 5 seconds, and if you have a brand self that you can spare, like just guess which one would I pick based on what I have chosen before this. And my pick is the Nomad Cosmetics palette. So like I said, the reason why I picked it because it had that versatility in it. I have a little bit of everything. I have like green, yellow, copper, like brown, orange. This is very warm tone. A bit of the like reddish brown, but like more red rather than brown. I have 2 really like cool, like a metal gun silver with blue undertone, an eggplant purple, and a black with like a little fun shimmering in it. I think I could use this palette for any color that somehow I want to make the look more interesting with, because like I explained, you have yellow, green, blue, purple, red, black, and what missing in this palette is that green shade. And the selection of green shades in this palette is impeccable. It's just perfect. You have like beautiful shimmer. They are jewel chrome. They are this kind of like how can I explain it? Like brown shifted to like yellow green, like khaki, that kind of shade. And it's neutral enough for me to use. Like me, if I ever wore green, that would be my comfort zone. This is like my comfort level when it comes to green. And it delivers. I'm not sure how much I can use the yellows in this palette because so far I have not really like think about them at all at any time. But I mean, maybe one day I want to do something fun with the yellow. And yeah, so the bronze copper is beautiful, the shade is beautiful as well. And like I said, this one is too cool, too edgy for me, but I just love it. It brings me joy even just to swatch it. And overall, I think this palette is just more comfortable and more convenient for me to use rather than this one. I still like this one a lot. This is such a me color story, but it's too vibrant. And I mean, a year or 2 years ago, it would still be my go-to. But I think it was released like a few years ago, and then I waited, and I got it. I think I had grown out of that phase already. Yeah, I mean, like, I got it too late when I thought I could still live up with everything it can bring me. So basically, it's outgrown me. And that's not an easy thing to say, like, you are kind of like letting yourself behind in your makeup game. But like I said, that period of time when I stopped wearing makeup, I actually felt like I'm left behind in my life and in a lot of things, in relationship, in emotional maturity. So maybe I should like starting back together with my journey with something that's like easier to deal with, like taking one step at a time. And this one is just like right up at my level right now. So just want a quick recap. This is one of my options, the Nomad Cosmetic Berlin Underground palette, and the one and only Aether Beauty Amethyst palette. I'll keep this one forever, even just to use it as a display. Natasha Denona Love palette, very cool and fun. Anything more than this is not permitted. I think I didn't tell you what this palette is in the beginning, so sorry, that's my bad. Lilybyred is the name of the brand. Mood Keyboard palette. This is a Korean brand, and I think this is like a mauve. So they have 3 shades of palette in this line. So this is like the second one, the mauve one. Australis palette Dreamed of Me. Yeah, that would be everything. Thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll see each other again. I'm Cloudy, by the way.